Hi everybody, I'm TychoCelchuuu and this is an older tutorial for Battlerite. We're going to go over his skills and his Battlerites and talk about some basic tactics that you can use while playing as the Time Sand Llama guy. So let's get right into the skills. Left click, mouse 1, Sands of Time. Launch a projectile that deals 10 damage and 12 additional damage after 3.5 seconds with 7% energy gain. So notice this takes a little while to cast. You can look at the cast bar filling up under my character. And we can always cancel this cast if it turns out this is a bad idea to auto-attack, so you should maybe find yourself doing this if the opponent starts turning to attack you. But it does okay damage when it hits, 10 damage, not too bad, but notice they also get the debuff Sands of Time, and this little purple amount is how much they're going to lose after the thing ticks off. So if I keep attacking them with my auto-attack, it does not extend the length of Sands of Time, it doesn't extend the damage it does. You can only ever have one Sands of Time debuff on somebody at a time. So if you have the choice, it's maybe a little better to spread out your auto attacks to sort of multiple enemies so that you've got Sands of Time going on multiple enemies rather than just sort of focusing really hard on one enemy with the Sands of Time, because you can only have one Sands of Time on the enemy. Rejuvenating Sand. Throw Rejuvenating Sand that heals the nearest ally for 14 health, recharges faster for each nearby ally. Nearby, I recently learned, doesn't actually mean nearby, it just means basically anybody you can see. The range is about this much. So you have 3 charges of this. You can see the also number little 3 right next to your health bar, and so you can use it on yourself, or you can cast it, whoops, I just ran out of charges, so we gotta let it recharge. Or you can cast it fairly far away to hit an ally. So notice I can cast it at that range, I can cast it at that range. Oh no, I'm being attacked. And the range is about this, so that's pretty far. It does have a travel time, so you have to aim for where your ally is going. You can't just fire at them where they are right now, but it's pretty fast travel time and a pretty big AoE, so it shouldn't be too tough to get this. So 14 health is a pretty good heal, too, and remember, use it on yourself. Shifting Sands. Turn into sand and travel in the target direction. Allies pass through are healed for 12 health, and enemies are dealt 8 damage. This is a nice escape. The range is pretty good. The cooldown, though, is 10 seconds, so you got to be careful about using Shifting Sands to go places, because you're not going to have another one very soon. Time Bender. Negate projectile and melee attacks in front of you. Enemy melee attackers are knocked back, and the first negated projectile will linger on within your hourglass. Launch it by recasting this ability. So, this gives you a little shield, which I'll show in a moment when this thing respawns. And now we have a shield, and the first thing that hits the shield I can recast for a little while, so obviously the potentials for this are very big, and the knockback against enemy melee people who hit you is pretty good. It's about this distance when they hit you. Quicksand. Throw an hourglass to target location that explodes, dealing 14 damage and inflicting Fading Snare. Consume Sands of Time, dealing all damage instantly. So, you get a nice little AoE, some nice damage, and a snare, and if you have Sands of Time on somebody, it'll instantly do the damage, which means you can instantly put Sands of Time back on them again, rather than having to wait for Sands of Time to run out to hit them with an auto attack. So it's nice if you've got one or more people Sands of Timed, or Sand of Times, just, well, I let that one run out, but nail them with the Quicksand, and it'll snare them too, of course. Stone Glass. This is your thing that costs 1 energy right next to your ultimate. Melee attack that inflicts Petrify and knocks the target back. Petrify, target's granted a shield, unable to move or cast for 3 seconds, and absorbs up to 20 damage. So, bonk! Not a huge knockback, but really long Petrify, so that's exciting. Time Travel. This one confused me when I was playing with Oldur, but not as Oldur, because I was like, what does this thing do? Target allies' cooldowns are accelerated by 25%. Target is removed from the fight for a short duration before reappearing at target location, stunning all nearby enemies for 2 seconds. So when you cast this, it's often better to cast it on an ally who's just used all their cooldowns or whatever, but let's cast it on ourselves, and now we can go pretty much wherever we want, and when we land, we'll stun people. Pretty straightforward. And as you just noticed, you can cast it on yourself. The 2 EX abilities. The first EX is for Mouse 1. Chronobolt launches a projectile that deals 16 damage and knocks target back. Consume Sands of Time, dealing all damage instantly. So, if we have Sands of Time on somebody and then nail them with this, bam, that's a lot of damage. And even if we don't have Sands of Time on somebody, we nail them with this 16 damage and a knockback. So that's a cool little Mouse 1 attack with your shift. And then Shift Q, Chrono Flux. Place a time rift at the target location. The rift reduces movement speed and reflects projectiles. So, let's drop one of these bad boys here. Well, it's a little late for that. Let's drop one of these bad boys. Let's turn off cooldowns. And drop one of these bad boys here. So that guy's moving slowly. And, well, let's go down here. And drop one of these bad boys here. Boom. That's funny stuff. It's going backwards. Yeah, reflects projectiles. Great. So it goes backwards. As you can tell, I don't use that very much. Maybe it's nice on the orb if you're trying to protect the orb. But, yeah. Fun stuff. And so that's all the skills. So now let's talk about some Battlerites and some tactics to use as Oldur. So Battlerites. Time Walker. Absorbing an attack with Time Bender resets the cooldown of Shifting Sands. So Time Bender is your shield, and Shifting Sands is your space. So if you've just spaced, and then you go in with the Q, and now you can space again. So Oldur, as you've noticed, doesn't have a lot of escape abilities. He's got his space, and that's pretty much it. He's got his ultimate too, so let you go lots of places. But aside from that, you are where you are, and if somebody's on you, there's not a lot you can do to get away. So one thing to do is if somebody is on you, a melee character or something, like Croak is stabbing you in the face with his frog blades or whatever, you can use R. That'll petrify them, and then you can run away, and that's really effective. But another way is, well, let's just say I want to have my guaranteed space ready to go. You can go this. You can have used space already a while ago. Normally the cooldown's 10 seconds, but whenever somebody gets up in your face, you just pop this and then space away. But this can also be used in other situations too. So since space will like heal people, you can heal. Well, that's not an ally, but you can heal your ally and then just grab something from some sort of ranged enemy, and then heal your ally again. Or you can just use this as another sort of escape against ranged people if they're attacking you. So this is kind of cool, especially if your opponents you think are going to be hitting your Time Bender a lot. Quicksand, or Sand Tomb. Quicksand inflicts a 1.5 second root. So normally Quicksand will inflict a snare. Normally it'll inflict a snare, but this time you get a root, and 1.5 seconds is really good. That's a really good root. 1.5 seconds they're not moving. That's a lot of time you can use to get your Shifting Sands in, or to get your Shifting Sands and then your Sands of, or your, what's it called, your Chrono Bolt in, because they're not going to be moving, so it's going to be very easy to hit. So I really like the Quicksand route, and then Chrono Shift. Shifting Sands creates a lesser chronoflex that reflects projectiles. I don't know about this. So when you use your space with this Battlerite, it'll leave a little chronoflex there for a moment. This, I don't know, I found it hard to use effectively just because you don't get to choose where the chronoflex goes. It's just wherever you are right now, and then it's going to be a 10-second cooldown on your Shifting Sands to use that thing. So I think I have to experiment a bit more with this to find out how and when it's going to be useful. But if you want the little bubble but you don't want to pay for your Shift Q, you can get this Battlerite. So maybe try that out yourself to figure out how it's going. Passive Chime. Shifting Sands consumes Sands of Time, inflicting 1 second fading snare. So this thing's cool. Shifting Sands, this is your space again, and it gives you another way to consume Sands of Time and do some extra damage. So if you've already got this thing, which resets the cooldown on Shifting Sands, this lets you be a bit more aggressive with it, so you can hit someone with the Sands, go in with it, absorb a hit or something, hit them with the Sand again, space out, and that'll give you 10, 22, 44... plus 16. It'll give you a lot of damage if you can get that whole combo off, which maybe you can, maybe you can't, but it's at least an option to go for. Look at his ears flopping around as he moves. That's adorable. Drain. Absorbing attacks with Time Bender heals you for 16, 8, 4 health, so let's get over here. Absorb an attack. There's some health. Whoops. Well, it's tough to tell because this guy's not firing fast enough. But you'll get guaranteed 16 health if somebody hits you in the first time with your Time Bender, and then after that a bit less health. So this is just a nice way to heal yourself up, especially if people are DPSing you quite a bit. Maybe buff your Time Bender with that, and Renew. Rejuvenating Sand applies a renew effect, healing the target for 8 seconds after 3.5 seconds. So similarly to the Sands of Time, where you can only have the buff on somebody once and doing multiple times doesn't extend the duration of the buff or anything. This will give your Rejuvenating Sands a buff, this Renew buff. It'll take a long time to tick, and if I keep healing myself, it's not going to do anything to that Renew buff. So this only adds a bit of healing, so it's 8 health after 3.5 seconds, and that's only at most once every 3.5 seconds, because again, you can't reapply the buff. But if your allies are being really mobile and going off or whatever, and you don't get a lot of opportunities to heal them, it can be nice because if you have like one other ally, you heal them, you heal yourself, and that's an extra 16 healing that'll come when the two things tick off. If you have two allies, you heal one, you heal the other, you heal yourself, and that's another 24 health that's going to tick in a while. So this is just adding a little healing per second to your healing. But again, if you're constantly healing somebody, you're just like healing the heck out of your croak or whatever, this is only going to pop once every 3.5 seconds, so it's not going to add a ton of healing. Shared Fate. Sands of Time explodes, dealing 12 area damage when the effect ends. Pretty straightforward. Use it if you want to DPS some people who are standing together. Rejuvenating Sand hits accelerate the target's abilities cooldown by 6%. This thing, I think, is cool. It's tough to see it in action, but since you should probably be rejuvenating sandsing like pretty much all the time whenever you've got the charges up, if you can hit somebody, even on yourself. The cool thing about this is that as you use it on yourself, it even buffs the recharge time of the rejuvenating sand. So this is a nice little thing to lower some cooldowns. I think there's a lot of utility in it. I definitely recommend it pretty much no matter what build you're going. And then Recreate. Traveling through an ally with shifting sands grants ally a shield, absorbing 14 damage, lasting up to 3 seconds. So that's pretty straightforward and also pretty good. 14 shield is a nice little shield. Since you're traveling through them, you're also going to be healing them. How did that... Oh, I don't have the thing. Since you're traveling through them, you're also going to be healing them for 12 health, so they'll get 12 health and 14 health effectively, so that's a 28 heal. And so if you can... God, how is this not working? They're supposed to be getting a shield. Well, it'll give them a shield, and the only tough thing is, obviously, you have to line up your shifting sands on an ally, so using your escape skill to heal up an ally is kind of annoying, so I don't get this super often. Dehydration. Sands of Time reduces the damage and healing output of its target by 10%, and let's also look at this. Sands of Time reduces incoming healing by 20%, so if there's one like MVP on the enemy team who's getting healed by a healer or two, Sealed Fate is great. You just bop them with the Sands of Time, and then they're going to get a lot less healing. This is the more general purpose one, reduces damage and healing output by 10%, so you nail someone with it and they're less effective at anything you're doing. And finally, Oasis Quicksand spawns an orb of water that heals 16 health when picked up. So this is cool. It's a lot of health if you think about it. 16 health for this little orb of water. The thing is, it'll spawn where you hit quicksand, so you have to go get the orb. This can be nice for your allies, like they're fighting in the midst of stuff and then you drop a quicksand and there's an orb there for them if they can figure out that they're supposed to pick up the orb. But for you, often you'll be lobbing your quicksand from far away because you don't have much mobility, so you want to stay far away, so it can be tough to get eventually to the orb to pick it up for health. But still, 16 health is pretty good, so there's that. And then finally, round 5, Sandstorm. Time travel inflicts sands of time on all enemies hit, so this just increases your, whoops.
Let's try this again.
This just increases your DPS. There we go, yeah, sands of time, and then it finally ticks. Reversal. Time travel restores 50% of all health the target lost during the past 2 seconds, so often I think time travel is really well used as a sort of escape tool or get a jail tool or a tool to save your ally, because if your ally is getting just like completely owned, or you're getting completely owned, you can just go boop, and then you just go like somewhere completely separate, and you get completely out of the fight. So this can be really helpful, because if you're already using it as an escape tool for somebody who's getting beat up on, giving them 50% of the health they just lost back is good. But they do have to have just lost the health, so if somebody's really, really low, and they've just been running away a while, and then finally the opponents catch them, and so you boop, hit them with the ultimate, that's not really going to do much. But then again, for this thing, you have to hit the enemies with the sands of, or with the what's it called? With the time travel for it to get the sands of time on them. And again, since this is often used as an escape tool, that's maybe not helpful. But the other main usage of this time travel thing is an ally who's just used like all their cooldowns or whatever, and they're chasing the enemy, but the enemy's getting away. you can just use it on like your Shifu or whatever the hell that guy's name is, the guy with the spear. Hit him with this thing, and then he can just teleport like right into the middle of all the enemies and just go right back at it and start wailing on him. So it should be obvious this is more offensive and this is more defensive, but that sort of helps us understand how we're using the ultimate. So as I mentioned before, your only escapes are the space, and also if somebody's up in your face, hitting with the R. I think it's really good to get used to just hitting somebody like a melee DPS with the R whenever they're getting close to you, because that's going to add a huge amount to your survivability. Another main thing to keep in mind is to try and keep your Quicksand going all the time. So this is a 7-second cooldown, not the worst cooldown. 14 damage is nice. It's a really big AoE. Like, notice we can hit all those people, and it's also got a really big range, too. So it can be tough for opponents to dodge this too much. It'll give a snare or even a root, which is really helpful for your other ranged people. So I recommend trying to get your Quicksand on as many people ASAP. And then finally, your Shift 1, your Chrono Bolt, that's really effective if they've got the Sands of Time on them. At the very basic level, you can get Sands of Time on with your auto attack. So I think what you want to do is not hold down the mouse. So right now I'm holding down the mouse and I'm getting Sands of Time on people, and then let's say I decide I want to shift mouse 1. I'm going to hit shift, and then I don't cast my shift mouse 1 until my next auto attack is finished. Instead, what you want to do is be clicking with your auto attack, and then you can hit shift F1 and you won't have to wait for your next auto attack, or you can just hit C immediately when you want to hit your shift F1. So I'm like auto attacking, and then I'm like, I want to shift F1 now, so I'm going to hit C, and then, well, and then I kept holding down the mouse button, so I fucked it up. So you want to hit C without holding down the mouse button, and then you shift F1. But anyways, this will do so much damage on people who have Sands of Time that if you're mouse one-ing them, just nail them with that. It's 1 energy, but totally worth it, 1 bar of energy. And then also there's other ways to give people Sands of Time, remember. So where's the thing? Something gives people Sands of Time. Oh, maybe it's just spacing through them. No, it's not. Something gives them fucking shade. Sands of Time. I swear to God. Maybe I'm going insane. Maybe there's no other way to... Yes, here we go. Thank God. Christ. Shifting Sands inflicts Sands of Time. So if you get this, that's another way to get the Sands of Time on the enemies, and then you can... No, God, it consumes this... Jesus. Maybe there is no other way. Okay, I'm an idiot. But aside from that, mouse 1's a great way to get the Sands of Time on people. So get that on, consume it with mouse 1, use R to attack people who are getting close to you, use the F on allies who need to run away or need to chase, and this Time Bender has a long cooldown, but it's great against people who fire high damage things. So that Aksha guy with the fireballs, when he fires one of the big fireballs, hop up with your Time Bender. When Jade tries to snipe you, grab the snipe. It's also great if you can grab status effects things. So if somebody's trying to panic you, Lucy's trying to panic you with that panic potion thing, just grab that with the Q and shoot it right back. It will still protect you, so it's effective even if Jade is using her pistols on you, but if you catch a Jade pistol shot, there's pretty much no point in even firing it back. So try and, if you can, save this for the most effective things that your opponent's going to use on you, and then catch him and shoot him back, and that's the basic way, I think, to play Oldur. He does good damage, he does good healing, so he's a cool little time llama to have on your team, and I hope you enjoyed this tutorial, and I swear to God there's some other way to get shifting sands on people, but... or to get Sands of Time on people, but maybe there isn't. So, okay, just kidding. I remembered how to get shifting sands on people. It's fucking Sandstorm. Your ultimate can put, or Sands of Time is the name of the thing. You can put Sands of Time on with your ultimate and then consume it with the shift mouse 1. So there you go. Do that.